There we go. There we got a fish.
Hey gang, this is Tim from Tim on the Fly, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode. Today, we're going to be on a rocky dam face on one of the local lakes, and we're going to be doing a little indicator nymphing for whatever we can get to bite. A lot of times for warm water species, we think of topwater, we think of streamers. We don't really think of nymphs very much, past maybe bluegill, crappie. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of different species, and not all of them small, concentrate on nymphs and emerging insects, especially in the spring when there's not a whole lot else going on for food forage. A lot of those fish are just getting off their spawning cycles or just getting ready to go into their spawning cycles. They're hungry, the bugs are plentiful, and they're going after them. So we're just going to take a real simple rig. We'll talk about the rig a little bit as we go on, but we're just going to get that thing out in the water and see what we can catch. Today turned out to be mostly white bass, but it's a good rig for everything from bluegill and crappie on up to carp. I've even caught catfish, drum, just about anything out there swimming is going to latch onto a good sized nymph. So let's go get to it.
Get this guy out here. I'm not going to start out too deep, but we're not going to start out fishing too far out either, because I'm seeing a little activity, surface activity. It doesn't look like anything big, but there may be something big under it. Just kind of work this out there a little ways, see what happens. If we fish it for a few minutes and nothing happens, we'll drop that indicator, we'll drop that fly down about 6 inches, fish it for a while, drop it another 6, fish it for a while, until we either start snagging up on the bottom or start catching fish, whichever comes first. I think we tipped the bottom there, so we'll send her out a little bit further, see what happens. Seagull out there working, that's a good sign. Means we might have some bugs on the water. Might be why the nymph's working. Haven't seen any yet, but the birds are definitely look like they're diving onto something. Get out where the wind's going to help us a little here. And the wind is going to help us. These little bits of waves are going to help bounce that indicator, and when that indicator bounces, it's going to bounce the fly underneath and give it a little more action. And a lot of times that's just what it takes to get a fish to commit. That fur collar on that nymph is going to be moving in the wave action, and the pine squirrel tail is going to be moving. Hopefully all that just says, I want to eat that to a fish. And kind of slow this morning though, so we'll see. So all we're really doing here for these fish is we've got our little nymph here. We've got our fur-collared nymph, and if you want a little tutorial about how to tie those up, I've got a video on that on the site. I'll probably maybe link to it at the end of this video, or it's easy enough to find. And then we're just going to go down the leader. Right now we're set about 3 feet deep, and then we're just going to have our indicator. And all we've been doing is we've just been popping that indicator rig out there and just letting it drift in these waves. And the waves just kind of bounce that indicator a little bit, and that does the same thing down below here to our fly. Just kind of jigs our fly in the water, and the fish have been coming along and thinking that that's good enough for them, good enough to eat. So let's not waste any more time talking and go out and see if we can't catch another couple of fish. Keep laying her out just a little bit further each time. There we go. There we got a fish. What do we got? Oh, a little white bass. Got a little white bass on our nymph. Basket, the nymph hanging out of his mouth. There we go, nice little fish. And back into the water he goes. We'll get out there and see what else we can find. He hit that pretty aggressively, so good sign. Our depth isn't wrong. It may not be perfect. We'll see if we keep catching them, but at least we know there's something at that depth. Oh, ooh, missed him. May not have been a fish. Might have been a rock or a stick or something out there. Indicator went under, but that doesn't mean nothing. Might have been just caught on a rock and the wave washed over it and drowned the bobber. Sorry, indicator. There we go, that's a fish. That's a little nicer fish too, I think. Feels like it might be another white bass. No, drum this time. Drum on the nymph. The leader tangled up under his fin, it looks like. There we go. Oh, barely hooked. Barely got him there. But we do got him. Nice little guy. Get the hook out of his mouth. Nice thing about barbless is that happens nice and easy. Get him back in the water. Rest there a little bit. I don't think he knows he's free. And away he goes. One of the things about the indicator rig is what size indicator you're fishing, and the most appropriate size indicator to fish is the smallest one you can get by with usually, because it'll be the easiest to cast and the most sensitive to anything that happens to it. So I'm fishing a little half-inch indicator. It's enough to float the fly, and I can see it out at the distance that I'm fishing fairly easily, so I can tell if any little bounce or anything happens, although right now these fish are pretty well sucking it under, so that's not much of a problem. But big flies are going to take a big indicator, but this isn't a real big fly we're using. And I can see it out there. I'm at about 40-50 feet right now, and I can see it just fine. And but at the same time, it's small enough to indicate. So like, nope, yep, just like that. Oh, lost him. Don't think I had him very good. But, like I said, just small enough to be sensitive and cast easy, but big enough to see. And the bigger the fly, the bigger the indicator's got to be. If you're fishing in current, the rougher water is going to take a little bigger indicator. But right now we've got just a little bit of a chop out there, fairly small fly. So the
The small indicator's doing just fine. Now, mostly we've been just kind of letting this thing bob in the current, but or in the wind. It acts the same as the current, so I guess you could look at them the same way. But if you're not getting any action that way, you can always kind of pop that indicator just a little bit and give that fly a little extra action. Just kind of a short strip with the, just to kind of pop that indicator, and sometimes that'll, if the fish are just kind of swimming up to the fly and looking at it and not really going for it, sometimes that little extra motion will be enough to trigger them and get them to strike. But so far today we're having just pretty good luck just letting it bob on the surface, so we're going to keep that up. Switch our angle of attack up. Again, the wind's kind of swinging around on us. You kind of want to play the wind so it's as easy as possible to keep as much slack as possible out of your line so you can get a good hook set. And we got us another one. Not a big one, but an active one. Another white bass. Those are perfect on this 6-weight. Just a ton of fun. Get him back. Oops, wrong way, buddy. Wrong way, water's out that way. There you go. Hey, thanks for watching this episode. As usual, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. There's a lot of good stuff on the channel already, and there's going to be a lot more to come in the future. So look forward to seeing you. We'll see you in the next one.